Hello, everyone, and welcome back to 100 Days of Magic. Here we are on day 32 of our adventure. We are talking about the fire and how we use it in our sacred spaces. So, if you haven't met me before, I'm Donna Woodwell. It's good to have you here at the crossroads of magic and mastery, where I look for ways to give you tips and tricks so that you have the keys to unlock that divine spark within you. Yesterday we talked about how the earth element fits in to creating sacred spaces. We focus more on the elements of starting to create a sacred space, how earth can be really powerful to get things moving, how it's important to talk about anchoring the energy by clearing it out and purifying it and making sure there's a clear flow of energy through. Hello, everyone. Hello, Pat. Hello, Boris. Hello, Valerie. Yay. Thank you for coming to this episode. It's always fun when there's people here. All right. So earth anchors. It sets the template and the foundation for creating a sacred space. So that includes the purification of the space and keeping it clean so that the energy can flow, getting all the clutter out of the way so that there is a clear path for things as they move through your physical life. It gives you a place to start, and it also includes all the other anchor points that you create for this space. All the rocks and the crystals, plants that grow in the dirt, all of that holds energy space in a physical world. I wanted to talk about fire next because fire in some ways is the opposite of earth. When earth stabilizes and goes down, just pick up a rock. What do you expect to happen? It drops. That's the earth element making it drop. And gravity too, but we're talking in the ancient philosophy of things now. Fire is the opposite. Unlike earth, fire goes up. Doesn't matter which way you turn it, it's still going to point up. So it's pointing up in defiance of the earth element. So fire lifts us up, connects us to that divine spark within us. It energizes us and vitalizes us. So whereas the earth element stabilizes, the fire element vitalizes. And we can understand how it's important to have these two different areas represented in our sacred spaces because they're two important elements of our relationship to the sacred. We need places that help us to stabilize and ground, and we need places that uplift and energize. So what would we include in the fire element? Of course, there is fire, but that's thinking very narrowly. Fire also includes anything that involves light. So that can be any light source like lamps. That can be any open windows where light is coming in from the outside from the sun. That can be any light sources, like some places can't have candles, so this is an LED candle with a little switch on the bottom that kind of flickers as you're holding it up. This represents the fire element too. It may not be physically fire the way a burning candle is fire, but it's fire in the sense that it is electrons moving around, creating little photons flickering to create light. The fire element is also represented not just by light, by anything that light bounces off of in order to shine more brightly. You know, back in the days before we had electricity, designers got really adept at using reflective surfaces to create light. So here you go. We can bounce light off and create a really interesting illusion just by having light behind our candles. If you've ever been in a dark room and you put a candle behind a light, you know exactly what I mean. We also have interesting things with stuff that creates reflections. This is the same candle I was holding up before, but it's so much brighter now in the camera because each little facet is reflecting the light out into the world. Same with, all these pendulums and things. that feng shui uses to redirect energy, these also concentrate and spread the light in ways that energize a space, right? So you got many options to consider when, and more besides. We're always coming up with new and unique ways to invite light into our spaces. All those LED technologies with multicolored bands that can be controlled from your phone. You know, the options just keep increasing for how we might want to incorporate light into our space. What's most important about it is for you to understand how it affects you and your relationships to spirit. Light, as I said, energizes. It lifts us up and it gets us a little more active. This is why in places where it gets darker and darker and has long seasons, very short days, very long nights, many people get seasonal affective disorder from a lack of light. You feel depressed and lethargic and you don't want to get up and go because light literally makes us get up and go. Consider how that reflects on other areas of your life. You know, if you have a living space with a dark space and an illuminated space, how are you going to use those as you move through your days? You know, a dark space is great if you want to curl up and sleep and feel lethargic and feel restful. A light space is great if you want to feel energized and spend time connecting to that vibrant energy that keeps us alive, that life force energy. Consider when you make an altar. Putting light on an altar is a representation of pulling spirit down into the altar space. It's kind of the spirit is home here. That's why you light candles on altars. Are there spaces in your world that you need that reminder? Spirit is present here. And there's no right or wrong answer. There's only what supports you in your journey. And so this is why no one can write a book and say, this is what you have to do. You know, there are books like that, but when you follow someone else's instructions that way, you're taking the easy path out. You are not necessarily thinking it through for yourself. And that's where the true power of magic comes from. It's understanding basic symbolic principles, what those symbols are in context of your life, and then incorporating them to do the work. This is why magic is an art, a science, and a technology. You know, it's a technology in the sense that we're manipulating physical things in order to get results in the world. It's an art because we don't all use the same tools exactly the same way to get exactly the same results, because we are all different. And as we shine our light into the world, we have to find the ways that work for each one of us. But that starts with you having the courage to experiment for yourself. That's why I'm starting with really simple stuff like moving the things around in your space. If you walked around yesterday to consider what stuff is heavy and blocking your energy, what's got so much attachment to it that it's clogging up your ability to flow. Today the question becomes, where are you lighting up your life? What are the lightest places in your room? You know, are the windows open? Are they circulating light? What are the darkest places in your space? You know, why are they the darkest places in your space? Should they be the darkest places in your space to support you and what you are working with? So wander around your house again and have that conversation with you. You know, let's take an example. Kitchens are always the central place of a house. Why are kitchens the central place of the house? Because they represent the place where we feed and nourish ourselves. And if we don't feed and nourish ourselves well, we aren't going to thrive in the world. Even if you're getting takeout, the principle is still the same because it is the place where you would prepare nourishment for yourself. It has water, it has fire, it has a nice balanced energy to it. Consider the difference between a kitchen that's really, really dark and a kitchen that's really, really bright. Now, different people may want different places on the spectrum, but generally speaking, if a kitchen's a place for you to energize and nourish yourself, bright is probably a better than dark for a kitchen. Because one, it'll make it easier to work if you're actually cooking in there and not like chop your fingers off. But two, it's a better in alignment with the purposes of that space. On the flip side, bedrooms that are really, really bright might have a problem if you're spending most of your time in there sleeping or resting or rejuvenating, because bright doesn't go so well with the nighttime activities that we think of in sleep. So maybe a bedroom needs to be a little darker, whereas a kitchen wants to be brighter. But those are just easy examples. And as I said, all of this depends on you and how you relate to your space. And your answers might be different depending on your circumstances. But once you walk around and you have that calculus, wow, my kitchen is really dark. Is that really what I want to represent for how I nourish myself? Maybe I need to brighten it up. Well, then you know exactly how to work with that space. You know what kind of support it needs. You need to, go on the internet and find LED lights that you can put underneath the counters so that the room brightens up a little bit. Or maybe if you have a bigger budget, you want to knock in some skylights, or put different kinds of curtains in the space, or go all out and like paint the walls or the cabinets or something a bright and cheery color instead of a dark one. The possibilities are endless once you understand the principles. But if you don't understand the principles, then you don't know what you're working with. Okay? So I highly recommend today, walk around your house, see what's bright, see what's dark, see what your relationship to fire is. Does it make you comfortable? Does it make you anxious? Different people like different things. Because the closer you can get your house, your home, aligned to who you are and what you believe, the more it's going to support you in your life's work. And the thing about support, a lot of times we're all feeling like we have times when we feel like we're swimming against the stream. We all have times when we're tired, exhausted. We all have times when we feel like the world doesn't accept people who are having a spiritual practice. It just doesn't seem like it's the normal thing. It's great when we have friends that support the process. We're going to talk about community and magic, at some point in time. But if you are needing a little extra oomph, take the easy stuff. Take the stuff that's all around you already. You're in a place. You are living in a place. Even if it's just your own room in someone else's place. Everyone has a place. Even if you're traveling a lot, you have a place. Make sure it's aligned and supportive with you. Because when it is, and when it makes you happy, you're going to get a little extra oomph to do all the other things that you need to do. And why not take the easy win where we can? Plus, this is like helping you with the experiments on this level. When we make it more general, you're already learning the basic skills of spellcraft. Because I teach that way. I sneak things in. I sneak in the vegetables with the other things, and then you realize, oh, wait, I learned that already. Okay, if you have any questions about fire, sacred spaces, please feel free to stick them in the comments. I'd love to answer them. If you have your favorite fiery, light-filled places in your house, stick pictures on. Those are always epically awesome. And maybe someone else will be inspired by your creations. After all, that's what the Crossroads is for. This place I hold open for all of you to share your journeys so that you know that you are not alone. And it's a place where you can brainstorm, get some ideas, tap into the cosmic spirit of things. Because we all know the world needs a little bit more light. Kind of fits with the fire day. All right. I don't see any questions today. So I am off to go about lighting up my own world. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow when we're going to be talking about air and sacred spaces. Until the next time, take care, everyone.